Today, on a complete guide to four-wheel drive, we study the effects of differential locks and traction control systems. We go on to discover the new Jeep Cherokee and work with its traction system. And at the end of the show, we complete our Kalahari adventure by looking at bush camping and comfort. In the previous program, we discussed what happens to wheels when they lift and spin, and what can be done about it. Now we're going to discuss what vehicle manufacturers do about it. Things like axle differential locks and traction control systems come to mind. A wheel without traction on an open differential, like this one, will spin. If it happens to back and front wheels simultaneously, the vehicle will stop. An axle differential lock prevents this, one axle at a time. Now with older technology, like in this vehicle, we have differential locks, traditional differential locks. This is one of the few vehicles with both front and back. Climb like this, I'm only going to pull up the back. Okay, in this vehicle it's hydraulics, not a little switch, so you definitely know it's up. Let's try it. Okay, now I have to lock my front differential. Now, the trouble is with locking a front differential is that steering control is seriously impaired. Now let's see if we can get up this obstacle now with front and rear differentials locked. This is interesting because I couldn't turn. Front differential is locked, it's now disengaged, so it'll allow me to turn. Back one is not disengaged yet, but it will disengage any minute. And that's a disadvantage with old technology. The beauty of it is, of course, it's simple. There are no electronics to go wrong. It's very, very simple. Great for expedition use. But to tell you the truth, the new technologies are outstanding. They really are brilliant, and they do this job without the difficulty of knowing when to engage it and when to disengage it, which you need a certain amount of skill to pick up. Discovery Series 2. Interesting vehicle. It has traction control, it has hill descent control. Now these things mean that some of the traditional off-road driving techniques, we've got to throw them away. It doesn't mean to say that the vehicle is more difficult to drive. If anything, it's easier to drive. But I must say, for quite an experienced driver like me, it took some getting used to. We're going to demonstrate it now on this roller test rig. And we're going to look at it scientifically on how it works, and then we're going to take it off into the wild and see if it really works. Traction control systems vary enormously in their effectiveness. On the roller test rig, this discovery appears to work brilliantly. With only the right front wheel with traction, it pulls the vehicle through. Now we're going to see the difference between a vehicle with a center differential lock and no axle differential locks. Now this older discovery will be brought to a halt by two spinning wheels. Likewise, a Defender with the same system as the old discovery, plus the addition of a rear differential lock, it still stops. Now things are going to get a little bit more difficult. Steep climb, we're going to start with the Discovery central differential locked. See how it works. This is the same climb, but with a rear diff lock engaged. Traction control is made to look absolutely marvelous, but does it work in real conditions? This kind of traction control works by activating the brakes on the wheels that spin. But the Discovery's traction control system did not permit the locking of the center differential, as can be done with both of the older vehicles. The result is that for the system to work, wheels must spin out first, and then traction is given to the other wheels. Because it works by engaging the brakes, if the vehicle is not driven aggressively, it stalls a lot. And if it is driven aggressively, it's very hard on the vehicle, and it's hard on the environment too. And without a lockable center differential, going down steep slopes in reverse can be very difficult and sometimes dangerous. The key to driving traction control systems is even power application. Is it easier to drive than other systems? Well, if it's well set up, then maybe. But if it's not, which is in the case of many, if not most Discoveries, then it's most definitely not. I grew to dislike the system. Techniques of driving with traction control differ greatly. If you ease the accelerator when traction is lost, and with conventional four-wheel drive, if you apply the accelerator when traction is needed, now traction control with the correct technique. And now conventional four-wheel drive with the correct technique. They both do the job very, very well. Two entirely different techniques for two different systems. But not all traction control systems are the same, as I found out. Okay, John, we got a Jeep Cherokee, brand new one, 2005 model.
Yeah, this is a Grand Cherokee, brand new. It's just come into the country. Paul's brought one for us to have a look at and test out. Shall we test it, Andrew? She looks good.
Looks very nice. Yeah. And it's got a traction control system called QuadraDrive 2.
Yeah, it's a QuadraDrive system, but it's a new type of QuadraDrive system. It's not the standard old type that they had on their Cherokees before.
Okay.
A couple of nice features here, Andrew. Here on the thing is indication tire pressure. It's got a tire pressure indication on it.
Seriously?
Which is brilliant because anything to do with traction control or QuadraDrive, tires are extremely important. The pressures on the tires, that they're all more or less even and everything. So that's very, very nice. Less body roll. She's nice and firm. She drives nicely.
The suspension has changed. I see they no longer have a solid axle in the front. Do they have a solid axle on the back?
A solid axle at the back, independent suspension on the front. Got coils with it as well. She feels a little bit firmer than the other, which is for off-roading purposes. I like that.
Yeah,
it gives you a nicer feel to what's happening now.
Now, we don't know exactly how the traction control in this vehicle works, do we? Because it's not the same as the old one.
It's not the same. I believe it's electronical driven, and she's going to give us a faster response to it. We just go through a bit of water here. Just go through here. Feel her in the sand. I'm going to turn her just to make her drive. Andrew, this is great because I just turned straight up on it.
It shouldn't have actually gone.
It shouldn't have gone. It should have gone down.
It should have dug in the outside wheels there.
Because I did everything that we shouldn't have done on that, and she just climbed. I think we should
do that again.
Let's do that again. Let's have a look at that. Let's just get her around. Maintain
Okay, I want you to drive really badly, okay? Like a complete twit. I know this is very difficult for you to do, but do your best.
All right, we're going to do that again. Let's have a look at that. Okay, I'm going to give it now. I'm going to give it an angle, a bad angle, and I'm going to give it a full lock now.
We tricked it. Yes.
We tricked. But I mean, there's no person in there.
There's not too many vehicles that will survive that.
At the engine, Andrew. Yeah, the
There's
engine.
a lot of power in there, eh?
Okay, we'll just drive through that now. Let's get in. I had it in first gear. I held it in first gear where second gear would have run. So we just cranked the steering around up.
Straighten.
Okay, we're bottoming it out. So
Yeah, your belly.
Our belly's down, so it's nothing will climb through on the belly down. We can start in any gear we want. Third gear. Traction system is working. She shut power down everywhere at some stage. She actually shut the power down, and then she would deliver just enough, and then find she's slipping and deliver enough to the back and deliver to the front and to the back and to the front and the back. I mean, there's no ways we should have got out of that. To me, this is absolutely brilliant. That's okay. There's a rock. All right. I mean, the sand is very, very soft as well. You can see how soft it is. Crank more your way. Pull it out. Turn down the hill. Keep it going down. This is a true four-wheel drive now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Now let's go and find some steep hills.
Yeah.
Let's get the wheels in the air.
Okay, let's do that
Okay.
then. Now, I'm going extremely slowly.
Yeah. No.
Extraordinarily slowly.
Stop.
I'm actually wanting it to work for me.
I know.
I can't even get it to spin out, Henry. I put my wheel in that hole now. She's turning now. She's locked.
I've never seen anything like it.
Andrew, this is
I've
good.
never seen anything like this. Now, I assure you this is not contrived. We were busy filming here at Stony Ridge, and this Jeep arrived, and I hadn't seen it before, John hadn't seen it before. I'm not kidding. This is not a setup. This vehicle is phenomenal. There is no ways taking that line up that hill that any four-wheel drive would have gone up there that easily. I've never seen a traction control system working quite like this. Maybe I'll change your good luck. Okay, what line do you suggest? A horrible line.
Slightly your way.
We're sitting now with two wheels off the ground. Okay, I think you've made your point.
Well, that was truly amazing. We had it in a complete cross-axle, front wheel off the ground. You could feel it. I stopped the vehicle there, and it's normally a place where we get the people to know that their vehicle, even with all their traction controls and everything like that, you're going to have a problem. This vehicle would not stop. It would not spin out. It's incredible. Andrew?
After 5 days of travel, our convoy finally reaches the western woodlands of the Kalahari. It's time now to look at tips for bush and camping expeditions. 2 bride grids we've been using on the trip. This is called a Kalahari Joe, comes in a couple of sizes. The great thing about it, of course, fold away legs. It's stainless steel, which is by far the best material to use for a bride grid because it cleans easily. And this one basically is a traditional bride grid, but folds away and easy to pack. Let's have a look at some packing ideas. Having a look here. You know, this kind of stuff is excellent. Tupperware for packing. This is interesting. See this plastic? It's brittle. Never ever put cooking oil or something like that in this kind of, because it breaks. Vibration in the car, this actually breaks. Glass is not too bad as long as it's well packed together, because obviously it can break. Storing foods in this kind of plastic is absolutely fine. I find that cling wrap plastic like this, where it's got air inside, it actually goes off quite quickly. Cling wrapping where you vacuum pack it is brilliant. Eggs. Now we've been carrying eggs in something like this. Now this has got wet from all our rain, and this is of course now no longer going to protect the eggs. One of the ways of protecting eggs on a trip like this is to actually break them into a Tupperware container where you can actually pour them out. We once did it on a trip, and of 21 eggs that we poured into this container, only one broke, only one yolk broke. It's a perfect way of transporting eggs. I've got a lot of stuff to put on the roof rack, and most of it need to keep dry, like blankets, sleeping bags, these mattresses here. These mattresses are very bulky. I've had them for a long time, but put them in the roof rack bag like this. You zip them up, then you velcro them up, and you warp it down tight, and it stays nice and dry inside. The nice thing about these roof racks bags is that you can also use them for packing this kind of chair. Now I don't like this kind of chair because they're difficult to pack. No other reason. But the roof rack bag, nice easy way of packing them. I actually prefer this kind of chair because I can pack it separately, and it comes in its own bag, and it's just easy to put anywhere. But again, the roof rack bag is marvellous because I can put it in there. It also has straps which I use to tie it down. And the best way to use the straps is over the top and keep it nice and flat to keep the wind resistance as low as possible. Shrink wrapping is the key to freshness. Camp fridges and freezers tend to get very smelly. The secret is to shrink wrap all fresh foods. Actually, we take shrink wrapping one step further and shrink wrap the children's clothes. And this way, the dirty ones don't soil the clean ones.
If we're talking about ladies in the kitchen camping, you cannot have enough dish towels. These are old nappies. They work really well. But you can't have enough dish towels and washing up cloths because they get revolting. And one doesn't want to use them. And if you're watertight, as we are, you're carrying water, you don't want to waste your precious water washing dish towels. So the more you can have of those, the more comfortable you'll find at camping. But when you're dealing with food, you always end up with the problem of what do you do with the leftovers. And we find that it's really nice to have lots of Tupperwares. You can keep fruit in it, you can keep leftovers in it. These are also very nice because you can keep leftovers in it and you can seal it, and they can also go on the fire. Containers. You need lots of containers, like a sealable container for milk. If you've got some milk left over and you want to put it in the fridge, and you don't want it to slop anywhere, you want a nice container that can seal. I mean, Sue's waiting here for stuff to come out the washing so she can carry on grating cheese.
You need to put the leftovers in.
You need stuff to put the leftovers in. Sue knows more about those. She's going to tell us about those.
These zippy packets are wonderful because they seal. Open them, you put the cheese on it. Put an ear in.
A very nice thing to have are basins. We've got that large basin that we use for the washing up, which is very useful. It's also very useful for bathing kids. But these are really great. Sue, do you want to show us how these...
Yeah, these are nice just to have out here. They're packed nice and flat. Keep it here. Finish my grating. Let's just wipe my hands. Now off we go again.
Okay, so these are really super. But another thing that we find is really important when you're camping is that to try and keep things square because it's easier to pack. I mean, this is a classic. It fits in nicely into a box, whereas round things are more difficult. You then have to start wedging those things so that they don't rattle around and break.
This is our last morning here. We're packing up to leave after a wonderful week in the wilderness. And just the last things to talk about before we go, we're going to be packing the vehicles and looking at them in terms of weight distribution. This factor, this safety element of traveling in the wilderness is so important that we need to spend a bit of time on it. Vehicles roll so easily when in difficult conditions because of bad packing techniques. Same goes for trailers. Trailers can cause the vehicle to roll or control to be lost because of bad weight distribution. Let's take a look. Did you know that the permissible roof load on a Land Rover Defender is just 75 kilograms?
I would suggest that probably reality says 90% of our incidents occur on road. And it's high speed, typically. A lot of the times it's no other vehicle involved. In other words, there's no other influencing factor. The people just lose their vehicles, say going downhill into a bend, and there might be water coming across the road, there might be oil on the road, and you've got 2.5 tons of vehicle that's going into a slide kind of situation. It's bound to go. It's basically inexperience in driving the vehicle concerned. That plays a big aspect in terms of incident that happens in 4x4s. You're looking typically at incorrect load distribution in vehicles, instability, and this could be on a typical gravel road. 7 adults traveling in a 7-seater station wagon, lost control of the vehicle, obviously sand or shale or gravel or loose gravel, and rolled the vehicle. Just lost control. And that typically is the type of situation.
But overloading roof racks is common.
Okay, do you want all of them?
Yeah, it's light.
I thought it would be appropriate to talk a bit about waste management. See what we've got. We've got paper. Not a problem, we can burn paper. Plastic is a problem. Now, when you burn plastic, all it does is reduce into a small piece of plastic. So, there's a way of solving this problem. It's a bit time consuming, but get the kids to do it. Shove the plastic in the can. And burn the can. Another reason for burning the food cans is that it burns away the smell, so your rubbish doesn't stink. You take the burnt can out, crush it, and then take that with you. And you try and do that with all the plastic, because plastic constitutes litter even after it's burnt.